Okay, so we'll start off by finding our 3D model on our computer. So I've saved mine in a folder called the door on my desktop. So now we'll just drag this 3D model into Unity and release like that. And drag it into the scene view. And go over here to the transform and click on this little cog and click reset. So now it's in the middle of the scene. And because this tutorial is about animating this door and making it close and making it open, we will now go in and actually animate it. So to begin with, we have to click on this little arrow down here and this whole menu will open. So now when I click on this thing, I can look at this mini model of the door and I can see what each of these animations do. So this animation seems to open the top part of the door. So we want that in our animations. We just take it and drop it on our door in the scene view like that. And now we look at the next animation. Cool. So now we head into the animations tab over here. You might not see this, and if you don't, you go over here to this thing to the right, click on it, go to add tab and go to animation. Since I already have this animation tab, I will right click on this and click close tab. So now we have this animation right here, and this animation, and this animation, like that. So now we want to take all those small animations for each part of the door and put them all into one animation for opening the door. So we do that by going over to the project tab, right clicking, going to create, and then we click on animation. And we call this animation open. Take it and do the same thing as you did to the other animations, which was to drag it over here and in the scene view over the object and just release. Cool. So what I do now is to select all of this, click Ctrl C, click over here, click on open, which is our open animation, click Ctrl V. So now we have this in our open animation, but we still need the other parts of the door to be animated. So now we click over here again, go to this animation, select everything here. We can even click Ctrl A to select it all, then click Ctrl C to copy it, go into the open animation, and now click Ctrl V. So now we have those parts, and now we just need to add the left part. So Ctrl A, Ctrl C, back into open, and Ctrl V, like that. Okay, now the whole door just opens like that. Very nice. So, see now over here that we have this animation, but we only need this animation and an idle animation that we're going to add. So I'll delete this one, and this one. So we only have the open animation left. So what we need to do is to go over to Projects tab, right click here, go to Create, and just create another animation. And we call this door closed. So now we just take this and drag it into the object in the scene view, like that. And now we see that it's created over here. So now we click on the sci-fi object over here, and go into animation. And you're selecting the first keyframe of all animations and clicking Ctrl C. Now go back into the door closed animation. Cool. So what I have now is an animation for when the door opens and when the door is shut. But I don't have an animation for when it's closing, like the animation for it closing. So let's create that right now. So let's do that by going over here to the open animation, clicking on it, clicking Ctrl C, then Ctrl V, and voila, now we have two open animations. And we just call this closed instead of open. And now it's just speed, I just changed that to -1. So instead of time passing like normal does by going forward, we now make time go backwards by setting speed to a negative number. But when I start the game, I don't want the door to automatically open just the first thing that happens. I want the door to first be closed and then open. So right click on the door closed animation, click set as layer default state. So now we need to make a transition between one animation and another. So if you right click on the door closed animation and click on make transition, we can now click on the open animation, and we see that Unity draws this line with an arrow between them. So this is actually the transition. But you will see that we can add conditions over here. So to add conditions, we first need to create a parameter. So click on this little plus sign over here. If you don't see this plus sign or this menu at all, you might be over here and see this. So click on parameters, click on this plus sign, go down to bool, and we call this something like open. Click enter, and now we can click on this plus, and it automatically selects the open parameter, and that it will trigger if it's true. We can change this to trigger when a parameter is false, but we want it to trigger when open parameter is true. So we will select that. And now we just disable has exit time, which means that the transition will immediately be triggered when the condition is met, instead of needing the door closed animation to be finished. So now from the open animation to the closed animation, we create another transition, and we create another transition from the closed animation to the door closed animation. And we will just rename this again to closed, because just calling it closed is kind of confusing. So now right here on this transition, we click on this little plus sign again, and instead of making a transition when open is true, we do the transition when open is false. And we will leave it to be to have exit time, so that weird things don't happen. Just trust me, leave it at has exit time. And we just leave this transition as is too, because this is just fine. But there's one thing that might be messed up when you try to play this. So you move the animator over here and click play, and now I click open, and the door opens, but just loops the open animation over and over and over again. And this is not something that we want. So we exit play mode and move the animator back over. Not like that, that was horrific. We move it back down there, like that. Cool. Disable open, and now we're going to the project tab and click on the open animation in here. And we disable loop time. So loop time basically, as you might guess by the name, makes the animation loop, but if you disable it, the animation will just stay at the last frame of the animation when the animation is finished. So now when we move the animator over here again and click play, we can see that by setting the open animation to true, the door opens. But it immediately closes when we set it to false. Okay, so I managed to fix it. I don't know how I fixed it, but I think it was removing exit time or disabling exit time over here. So I set this to true, and when I set it to false, the door closes just as it should. Awesome. Okay, now we need something to trigger this animation in the game. So we do that by going over here to the sci-fi door in the hierarchy, clicking add component, and typing in collider, like that, and choosing box collider. And now we just move this up a little, like that, and stretch that a bit on the y-axis, like that, and on the x-axis, like that, and on the z-axis, like that. So now we're going to make it so that if the player enters this area, the door is going to open. So first we need to set this to trigger, and then we need to create the player. So to do that, we're going over to assets, import package, and characters. So now we're going to the standard assets folder over here, go to characters, first person, prefabs, and drag in the rigid body FPS controller like that, and we can just reset its position and drag it back just a tad bit and hire it 1 unit. Okay, now we actually want a forfeit to stand on, so we right click in the hierarchy, 3D object, go down to plane. Now we have a plane, we just reset its position and make it 10 times larger, just like that. So when we click play now, we should see that we are able to walk around, and yes, we are indeed able to walk around. But we can just walk right through this object, and we don't want that at all. So what we need to do now is to cancel play mode, go to the sci-fi door, and actually open it to see its children, and select them all. Click add component and type mesh collider. Now we shouldn't be able to walk right through it. And as you see, we can't just walk right through it anymore. Good. So now we actually need to make the door open. So we go to we click on the sci-fi door in the hierarchy, click add component, type door, click new script. You can call it, you don't have to call this door, you can call it whatever you want, but I've chosen to call this door. Then we click create and add, and the script is going to be created. So now we double click on it to open it in Visual Studio. Okay, cool, it seems like it has loaded. So what we need to do now is to actually write some code. So we go here, create some space, and we create a new variable of type animator, and we'll call this anim, short for animator. And on the start function, we type anim equals get component lesser than and greater than signs. And then within those we type animator and add parentheses and a semicolon. So what this will do is to actually find an animator component that's attached to the door and then save it in the anim variable. So now we can actually modify the animators. We delete the update function because we want to use the void on trigger enter function like that. And you see that it will autocomplete just as we want it. If it doesn't autocomplete for you, just copy what it says right here. Okay. Now we type anim.set bool, because now you want to set the parameter of the animator to true. And we create parentheses. Within those, we add citation marks, and within those citation marks, we type open, because remember that was the name of the parameter. So here we add a comma, and after that we type true, and add a semicolon. So this will basically set the open parameter that you saw over here to true like that. So now we copy this function and paste it below itself, and just change enter to exit. So this will be called when a collider exits the trigger collider, because remember, the sci-fi door has a box collider that is a trigger. So when something exits that trigger, the door will close. And when something enters that trigger, the door will open. So then we save this, head back into Unity, and we should now see that if we click play, we should be able to just walk forward, and the door will open and allow us to walk through, and then it will close behind us like that. So that's basically it for this video. I would just like to thank Evan Daley for collaborating with me on this video. He made the amazing 3D model of the door and animated it, and I just made it trigger when the player interacts with it. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe to me and Evan Daley. His channel will be at the end of this video and in the description down below. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and bye bye.